New York State Pari-Mutual Wagering and Breeding Law, Section 102, provides that the New York State Gaming Commission shall consist of 7 members appointed by the governor, by and with the advice and consent of the Senate. 5 members having been confirmed by the New York State Senate affords the Commission an ability to establish a quorum and undertake action. This present meeting of the Commission is now called to order. Ms. Secretary, will you please call the roll?
John Crotty.
Here.
Peter Machete.
Here.
John Baclemba.
Here.
Barry Sample.
Here.
Chad Snyder.
Here.
Ms. Secretary, will you please have the record reflect that a quorum of qualified members are present, thus enabling the transaction of business? Given the absence of a designated chair, would the members like to select someone for the purpose of presiding over today's meeting?
I'd like to nominate John. Ooh, sorry, go ahead. You're great. We all want to do it. Go ahead, Barry.
No, you got it. I'm going to second.
Okay, fine. I'd like to nominate Mr. John Crotty, please.
Second.
And Crotty.
All right, well, thank you all very much. The minutes are circulated from the last meeting of January 23rd. At this time, are there any edits, corrections, or amendments? Being none, the minutes are accepted. Now we'll go to the report of Rob Williams.
Well, thank you. This afternoon, I'd like to discuss the development status of Montrain, the lone commercial casino project remaining under development, and to discuss the Commission's intentions for this upcoming Problem Gambling Awareness Month. Montrain reports that they are fully completed with a variety of projects, including mass excavation, concrete slabs for the parking garage, and both the structural steel and concrete slabs for the hotel. They further report that they are at 98% complete for the parking garage precast concrete structure, foundations excavation, and site grading and structural steel for the podium. They are also at over 90% complete for the foundations, site utilities, the podium curtain wall, and site retaining walls. Overall, construction is at 42% complete. Finally, Montrain reports that during the month of January, they expended over 53,000 union construction hours on the work site and have expended over $425,000 in all for this project. March is the National Problem Gambling Awareness Month. Since the Commission's founding, we have endeavored to raise awareness about problem gambling. Our first effort occurred in 2013 when we partnered with the New York State Office of Alcohol and Substance Abuse Services and the New York Council on Problem Gambling to establish the Responsible Play Partnership. The Responsible Play Partnership was designed to address a variety of issues surrounding problem gambling, including ensuring that gaming venues comply with all rules and regulations and undertake proper outreach measures, reevaluate self-exclusion policies across the state to ensure consistency, and consider the best ways to advance New York's long-term commitment to prevent and treat problem gambling. OASIS Commissioner Arlene Gonzalez-Sanchez and the New York Council's Jim Maney have provided instrumental leadership in ensuring their respective agencies' participation is meaningful, and that the RPP and RPP working groups remain relevant to the evaluation and development of the state's approaches to responsible gaming policies. In the past year, the RPP have implemented a mix of internal and public-facing initiatives in support of problem gambling awareness, including the adoption of a comprehensive regulatory package addressing responsible gaming plans for the newly licensed commercial casinos, transitioning from facility-specific self-exclusion policies to a statewide policy, which ensures those who choose to self-exclude will be unable to game the system by simply traveling to another state-licensed facility to play. Continuing public advocacy of the issue of problem gambling via multiple public service announcements and various messaging throughout the state, and sponsoring and participating in multiple sessions at the National Council on Problem Gambling's annual conference, which was conducted in Tarrytown. This year, the Commission, in conjunction with the Responsible Play Partnership, has a variety of plans relative to Problem Gambling Awareness Month. We plan on conducting a series of regional events in proximity to the newly opened commercial casinos to underscore New York's commitment to ensuring those who need help with problem gambling have access to it. We will also be rerunning the Have a Gambling Conversation with Your Kids public service announcement on our television and radio stations statewide. This PSA enjoyed widespread statewide exposure last year, running more than 4,000 times in March and April alone. We also plan on producing a fourth public service announcement, this one reintroducing the Office of Alcohol and Substance Abuse Services, Hope Line. The Hope Line is a free confidential service that operates 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Finally, the Lottery Division, who, by the way, I want to mention is represented today by Gwen Dean, who is the new director of the lottery. The Lottery Division will be enacting measures to ensure that the National Problem Gambling Awareness Month messaging profile is raised. These measures will include ensuring signage is present on all terminals and vending machines statewide, promoting the Hope Line on the ESMM screens at lottery terminals at retail, linking the Commission and the lottery's web pages to the New York Council on Problem Gambling and the National Council on Problem Gambling's website, tweaking scripts used during the lottery's live drawings to feature a referral line, and imprinting a problem gambling awareness message on draw game tickets as space allows. Finally, I'd like to close with a couple items of potential interest. Since our last meeting, 2 commercial casinos have opened operations. On February 1st, Del Lago Resort and Casino opened in Tyre. And 1 week later, on February 8th, Rivers Casino and Resort opened in Schenectady. Once again, I'd like to acknowledge the incredible effort of the Commission staff in getting those 2 facilities, plus Tioga Downs, in December to be in a position to open. In a relatively short period of time, staff with the Gaming Facility Location Board developed requests for proposals, conducted a number of public hearings, shepherded the formal bidding process and application review, supervised and directed the licensing process, and undertook extensive rulemaking. The speed and quality of the work product is a testament to the staff's capabilities. The Agriculture and New York State Horse Breeding Development Fund and Yonkers Raceway have committed to conducting both the Sire Stakes Finals and the International Trot on October 14th. The Sire Stakes Night of Champions consists of 8 races featuring the best New York State bred standardbreds competing for a combined purses of $1.8 million. The $1 million International Trot, which was first held at Roosevelt Raceway in Westbury from 1959 to 1988, before it moved to Yonkers Raceway, was conducted there until 1995, when it ceased. Yonkers returned it in 2015, following a 20-year hiatus, and has drawn attendance from many different countries in Europe to contest the $1 million prize. This will be the first time that both races will be on the same card, which will make it one of the largest events in harness racing in the nation, and certainly one of the most anticipated. Finally, this morning, Commission staff executed the final documents necessary for Suffolk County's Regional Off-Track Betting Corporation to commence video lottery gaming operations in Ilandia. The facility, which is branded as Jake's 58 Hotel and Casino, is located near Exit 58 of the Long Island Expressway on the grounds of the former Ilandia Marriott. Managed by the Delaware North Corporations, the facility will be opening with a small number of video lottery gaming terminals and increase to their full statutory complement of 1,000 by early this summer.
Okay, that's pretty complete. Thank you, Rob. So we'll move on to rulemaking. New York State Racing, Retirement and Wagering and Breeding Law 10419 authorizes the Commission to promulgate rules and regulations that it deems necessary to carry out its responsibilities. To that regard, the Commission will, from time to time, promulgate rules and the rule amendments pursuant to State Administrative Procedure Act. We have one item for consideration today. Rob, will you please outline?
Sure. For Commission consideration is a revised proposal of a rule regarding 48-hour restrictions on the use of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs before horse races for the purpose of preventing concurrent and otherwise excessive administration of such drugs. The proposed revision follows a public comment period and is responsive to concerns raised therein. If you recall, the intent of this rulemaking is to prevent concurrent and otherwise excessive administration of NSAIDs in racehorses. This practice is commonly referred to as stacking and can be employed to enhance and disguise the presence of prohibited substances in horses from regulators' testing methods. These non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs act to reduce pain by inhibiting the inflammatory process, which is caused by injury and results in inflammation, pain, and fever. While NSAIDs mitigate pain and improve the healing and recovery from injury, they also inhibit the effects of the natural healing process, including swelling and associated pain that could prevent a horse from sustaining further injury. The pending rulemaking proposal, published in the November 9th, 2016 State Register, was intended to disallow the use of one NSAID within 1 week of racing, since NSAIDs can be administered in combination that increase the potency and duration of the effect of the drugs. The Commission received 2 public comments, one from the Racing Medication and Testing Consortium, and the other from the New York Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association. Both comments expressed concern about the proposed prohibition on using more than one NSAID for 1 week before a race, with NYS suggesting that the 1 week prohibition should be discussed further with the RMTC and the Association of Racing Commissioners International. Commission Equine Medical Director Scott Palmer did discuss these comments with representatives of both parties and further consulted with leading veterinarians who have expressed their opinions that under certain circumstances, it may be beneficial to the health of the horse to be able to administer a second NSAID during the week before racing. RMTC cited the ARCI model rule, where the primary thresholds represent an administration given at least 24 hours before racing, and the lower secondary thresholds represent administrations given until 48 hours before racing. Under this approach, a horse could be given an unlimited number of NSAIDs until 48 hours before racing, but only one NSAID during the period of 24 to 48 hours before racing. The comments further suggest that the proposed rules would put New York out of step with other jurisdictions that remedy NSAID stacking by establishing a second set of thresholds lower than the national thresholds for NSAIDs that were widely adopted in 2014. Commission staff, however, believes that the ARCI model rule is flawed, as the ARCI anti-stacking model rule may result in false positives for trainers who follow the recommended withdrawal periods. The ARCI model rule also permits unlimited NSAIDs to be administered in preparation for upcoming races. This has resulted in an unintended consequence, administering different NSAIDs at 72, 48, and 24 hours before races. Furthermore, the ARCI model rule has no thresholds for many NSAIDs that could be stacked before racing. The ARCI model rule has no restriction on the use of NSAIDs for which the ARCI has not yet adopted a threshold. When New York adopted a primary NSAID threshold in 2014, the Commission held a public hearing where it discussed that a 48-hour, not a 24-hour, restricted time period was required to avoid equine drug positives for NSAID administrations of clinical dosages that complied with the national thresholds. Commission staff also conferred with Dr. George Malin, who is the director of the New York Drug Testing and Research Program. Dr. Malin advised that a 98-hour restricted time period would be more enforceable than a lesser period, given the state of knowledge about such thresholds. The 98-hour restricted period for a second NSAID would also prevent stacking while allowing the use of more than one NSAID in the week before racing, and provide trainers with the assurance that compliance with the restricted time periods would prevent a drug positive. Commission staff also suggests a revision unrelated to the 2 public comments, specifically the deletion of meclofenamic acid as an NSAID permitted to be administered within 1 week of racing. This substance is no longer marketed by any pharmaceutical company, and it might be efficacious for more than 48 hours. There is no veterinary necessity for its use within 1 week of racing, and there is no national threshold for this drug. So in conclusion, considering the concerns raised by the comments received, Commission staff recommends revising the pending proposal to allow a second NSAID to be used within 1 week of racing, provided that the second NSAID is not used within 96 hours of the race. It is important to note that should the Commission determine to repropose this rulemaking as a revision, upon publication in the State Register, affected and interested parties will have an additional 30-day period to tender comments and concerns. Staff recommends that the Commission authorize the reproposal of this rulemaking as a revision.
Okay. Well, so we should keep it there. We're going to need a motion to repropose this revised rule.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Can I have a quick
Oh,
question,
sure,
John?
of course, I'm sorry.
If we vote in favor of reproposing this, then there'll be a 30-day comment period, and we'll be able to look at those comments
That is
and then
correct.
vote before it's...
Yes, that is correct. Upon publication in the State Register, there will be an additional 30 days for people to comment. That rule will then come back in the same manner that rules do here for final adoption. And you would
So
be
it
able to
can come
consider.
back to us at the next meeting.
Probably not
No,
at the
I
next meeting.
think it will probably be the April meeting at earliest.
Okay. Thank you, sorry.
No problem. Would that change your vote here on this? Okay. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, none opposed? Motion carries. Now we have 3 adjudications today. Rob, we'll turn it over to you, the first one.
The first one is in the matter of Dinya Newsstand. On August 15, 2016, the Bureau of Licensing issued a notice of license suspension and ordered the immediate temporary suspension of the lottery sales agent license of Dinya Newsstand, which is located at 214B Stanhope Street in Brooklyn. The notice informed Dinya Newsstand that the suspension was for failure to comply with the Commission's instructions regarding licensed activity and for fraud, deceit, and misrepresentation or conduct prejudicial to the public confidence in the state lottery. The notice stated that the owner of record, Yassine Joba, had been arrested for possession of narcotics with intent to sell, possession of untaxed cigarettes, and the possession of marijuana. The notice also stated that the suspension could become a revocation unless Dinya Newsstand requested a hearing. Pursuant to Tax Law Section 1607D, a lottery license may be suspended or revoked for fraud, deceit, misrepresentation, or conduct prejudicial to public confidence in the state lottery. A lottery license may also be suspended or revoked upon a violation of the licensing agreement or upon a finding by the Commission that the agent's experience, character, and general fitness are such that the agent's participation as a lottery sales agent is inconsistent with the public interest or convenience or for any other reason within the discretion of the Commission. After request by Dinya Newsstand, a hearing was conducted on December 21st. A hearing officer submitted a report to the Commission's acting secretary dated December 30th. The hearing officer recommended that the license be revoked and that the period from the date of suspension to the Commission's decision be a suspension of the license. The Commission considered this matter at a meeting conducted pursuant to the judicial or quasi-judicial proceedings exemption of New York Public Officers Law, Section 108.1.
Okay, well, we did deliberate and consider this matter and determined upon a vote of 5-0 to sustain the hearing officer's reports and recommendations. Now turn it over to you for matter number 2.
The next matter is in the matter of Empire State Deli. On August 22nd, 2016, the Bureau of Licensing issued a notice of license suspension and ordered the immediate temporary suspension of the lottery sales agent license of Empire State Deli at 4216 3rd Avenue in Astoria, Queens. The notice informed Empire State Deli that the suspension was for failure to comply with the Commission's instructions in regard to licensed activity and for fraud, deceit, misrepresentation, or conduct prejudicial to the public confidence in the state lottery. The notice stated that the owner of record, Jamal Alawag, had been arrested for several alleged felonies, including attempted possession of a forged instrument, attempted possession of unstamped cigarettes, and attempted possession of a counterfeit cigarette stamp. The The notice also stated that the suspension could become a revocation unless Empire State Deli requested a hearing. An amended notice of license suspension dated September 15, 2016, added additional grounds that the licensee failed to remit funds due to the commission. Pursuant to New York tax law section 1607D, a lottery license may be suspended or revoked for fraud, deceit, misrepresentation, or conduct prejudicial to public confidence in the state lottery. Pursuant to tax law section 1607A, a lottery license may be suspended or revoked for the failure to account for lottery proceeds. A lottery license may also be suspended or revoked for failure to file any returns or reports or to keep records or pay any fee or tax required by lottery regulations upon violation of the lottery license agreement or upon a finding by the commission that the agent's experience, character, and general fitness are such that the agent's participation as a lottery sales agent is inconsistent with the public interest or convenience, or for any other reason within the discretion of the commission. After a request by Empire State Deli Newsstand, a hearing was conducted on December 21st, 2016. The hearing officer submitted a report to the commission's acting secretary on December 29th. The hearing officer recommended that the license be revoked and that the period from the date of suspension to the commission's decision be a suspension of the license. The commission considered this matter at a meeting conducted pursuant to the judicial or quasi-judicial proceedings exemption of New York Public Officers Law, Section 108.1.
Thanks, Rob. We did consider this matter and voted as a group 5-0 to sustain the hearing officer's reports and recommendations. Now, we have one last matter.
The final adjudication is in the matter of Happy Inc., doing business as Friends Grocery. On July 25, 2016, the Bureau of Licensing issued a notice of license suspension and ordered the immediate temporary suspension of the lottery sales agent license of Happy Inc., doing business as Friends Groceries at 46 Court Street in Binghamton. The notice informed Happy Inc. that the suspension was for fraud, deceit, misrepresentation, or conduct prejudicial to the public confidence in the state lottery. The notice stated that the owner of record, Vijay Kumar Hathi, had been charged with an alleged misdemeanor sale of synthetic drugs and had violated a New York Department of Health regulation banning the possession of synthetic cannabinoid substances. The notice also stated that the suspension could become a revocation unless Happy Inc. requested a hearing. Pursuant to tax law section 1607D, a lottery license may be suspended or revoked for fraud, deceit, misrepresentation, or conduct prejudicial to the public confidence in the state lottery. A lottery license may also be suspended or revoked upon violation of the licensing agreement or upon a finding of the commission that an agent's experience, character, and general fitness are such that the agent's participation as a lottery sales agent is inconsistent with the public interest or convenience, or for any other matter within the discretion of the commission. After a request by Hathi Inc., a hearing was conducted on September 14th. The hearing officer submitted a report to the commission's acting secretary dated December 29th, 2016. The hearing officer recommended that the license be revoked and that the period from the date of suspension to the commission's decision be a suspension of the license. The commission considered this matter at a meeting conducted pursuant to the judicial or quasi-judicial proceedings exemption of New York Public Officers Law, Section 108.1.
The commission did deliberate and consider this matter and voted to sustain the hearing officer's recommendation reports by a vote of 3-2. With that, we'll go on to item number 6, any old business.
Could I have the record also reflect that Commissioner Machete and Snyder voted in the negative relative to that?
Just trying to keep it all star chambery, but yeah, fine. I didn't know if it mattered, actually.
Apparently it does.
Apparently so, yeah. Yeah, now we know. Any old business that is in front of us? Any new business? Okay, well, The next meeting is scheduled to be on March 27th. So if we'll all go back and talk to Ms. Buckley about your availability, it would be appreciated. Anything else to consider?
No, sir. No.
We will adjourn this meeting.